Hey everyone, so today I'm not going to be going over any units specifically, but instead I'm going to be going over some version differences between the global and Japan. So the reason I'm going over these is so you have a better idea of what you might be able to expect coming on this next major update that'll be coming in the spring. So to start off with, let's take a look at the Japan banners, because I know there's a lot of turmoil around the global banners these days, so I kind of want you guys to know exactly where everything is going to be standing, possibly in the future. There's no guarantee that global will end up looking like Japan in terms of its banners, but it's highly likely you'll end up moving this way. So I guess we can start with unit banners if we can find a good one here. Do we have any of the repeat banners up right now? So it doesn't look like we have any of the repeat banners up right now, but in general, you can expect the banners in Japan to look very similar to the Siegfried banner that was put out in Global, where we get 5 steps, and on the 5th step we get a rate up to like 5% or something. They're not good banners. We often call them trap banners, and we just step one them, and we don't go the full 5 steps. They're really not worth going after. I mean, if you've seen the infamous Soul video, then you'll know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these general banners. Now, Nenso banners, we never really have guaranteed Nenso banners, and that's just a fact of life. The few exceptions are like this banner right here, which is a collab Nenso banner. These banners are generally you 5-step, and you get a the guaranteed collab Nenso on step 5, and then you can go the whole way up to 10 steps to give you an additional 5 more Nensos, so you can guarantee that you max limit break it. This is extraordinarily expensive. The first step's 500, the second step's 1500, and every step after is 2500. Now, you do get some summon coins along with it, but in all honesty, like, unless you're actually major whaling, I would not be too keen on max limit breaking a collab Nenso. The good news is for most collabs, I imagine they're going to do this guaranteed Nenso banner, because there was some major blowback on one collab where they didn't have a guaranteed Nenso banner for the unit, and there was a major uproar and debacle in the Japanese Twitter. So every major collab we've had since then, there's at least been a guaranteed Nenso collab banner. But it is 5-step. We don't really have 3-step banners in Japan. It's almost always 5-step. As far as 3-step banners in Japan go, the last 3-step unit banner we had was Aaron for the Attack on Titan collab, and the one before that was Merlinus for the Cryuni collab, which I don't even know if Global is going to get the Cryuni collab. It's a Gumi property, so it's possible, but it's not a super popular Gumi property, and that's the one with Merlinus and Arthur in it. And the Arthur Nenso was the whole reason behind that debacle. So things are going to cost more gems. That's just plain and simple. You're going to be pulling on unit and Nenso banners, and in general, if you want my opinion on it, you should focus on Nenso banners, especially if you've been playing a long while, because the Nensos are a lot harder to get, and at least for the beginning, there will be units coming in your Nenso banners, so you're gonna want to double down to try to get some of those earlier Nensos, so you're not pulling them out later, having to pull them out later. As far as gear banners go, there's nothing really changed on that. It's mostly you just skip it, and I'm sure you noticed there's a FMA collab going on right now. But so as far as the summon coin shop, you'll notice that we do not have that banner ticket like Global has. There is no 300 summon coin. You get a banner unit. It's unfortunate. I think that'd be really cool to have, but we don't have it. Instead, we have select tickets for 1500 if you're Super Whale. You can get Sins for 500, which, if you do end up with 500 summon coins and you're in post-Kaigen era, this is actually a pretty good deal. Sins are very hard to come by, and being able to buy them for summon coins really helps you get far. Once again, though, that's kind of a whaley thing. And then there's just standard units. They do have these eyes for 60. Now, These eyes can be farmed, but it's also convenient sometimes to just get a red eye instead of 5 unit frags, because you're going to need a lot of these to Kaigen your 5-star units, and they're a pretty rare drop from a couple of EXs. There's a couple other ways to get them. It's just I find that this is like, you can reliably get one a week, which is pretty nice. The flags and statues I don't think are worth summon coins. So that's pretty much the differences in the gachas. Generally speaking, Japan gachas are worse, except when they're better. We do sometimes get some really, really nice gacha banners. Like, we sometimes get 5-step banner select tickets for Nensos. That's the only time we do get guaranteed Nensos, is when they do the select tickets. And those are pretty rare banners to get, but they do exist. I remember that there was a 9-step Mayfon pick ticket, and I did not get Mayfon skin because of that. I did not have the gems or the will to spend that many gems on Mayfon's outfit. Although I still rue not getting that outfit. I kind of wanted it. So, let's take a look at coins. So most things are mostly the same. These top 2 are for raids, and I already spent all my raid coins. We have a lot of shops open right now because there's a lot of seasonal reruns happening because of the new year. Our Vita shop is a little different. We have the same kind of gear, although they actually give us good gear. I mean, I can't remember the last time they gave us something good and global in the Vita shop. But for the most part, prices are the same. The major difference is in Japan, we have Job Plus items in the shop. And it looks like this month is Hayate and Golmaras. And the difference between the Vita in Japan and the Vita in Global is when Global puts out Vita, it's for a short period of time and it releases a couple new floors. In Japan, Vita is always available and resets on the first of the month along with the Vita shop. So we've gotten so many job enchantments, they've split the categories. And this is good and bad. It's easier to get to your stuff, but whenever you refresh, you can only refresh for half the stuff. So I honestly think it was a bit of a loss. We do have a little bit of a change in the way we can acquire coins, though. The coin drop rate from the enchant quest and the equipment drop rate from the JE equipment quests are basically doubled in Japan compared to global. And they did it mostly because it was just too much AP to keep up with, I assume. And also, these tokens, these now drop from the enchant quest itself. Yeah, it's random. It's completely random, so it's not like a great way to farm them. But I'm just saying, it does happen. Now, we also have these EX coins, and you get these coins when you do EXs, and they're just regular drops, and you can use them to buy things like, this month we had 5 Dark Shards, and we actually had a special on Sins where you could get 1 for 500. You can get 1 Sin for 2,000 of these EX coins, and you can see the red, yellow, and blue eyes are here, along with some statues. And honestly, these other things are just a bad deal. I just save. Every once in a while I pull some flags out of here. And those are Kaigen materials. These are draft coins, and this is a PvP mode that you guys will eventually get. Look forward to it. Draft is actually a lot of fun. And you get 50 coins for winning, and if you lose, you get 10 coins for each kill you get. So if you lose, you can basically still get 20 coins, because it's 3 on 3. I don't do draft a lot myself, just because it is pretty time consuming, but it is a lot of fun. And the changes to the friend coins. So this is the reason why you probably have heard to save your friend coins. 1 Sin, 2,000 coins. That's a really good deal considering you just have to log in and send coins to get it. Sins, once again, are limited items and you're going to want a lot of them. The only reason I haven't bought this Sin yet is because we're expecting new gates soon in Japan. And there is a possibility they'll use a different material, which means there's also a possibility they'll put that material in here. So I'm just holding off on buying the Sin in here this month. That's just a personal decision of mine. So in Arena, we have a brand new unit called Lotia, and she is a Beastmaster, Twin Blade, and Holy Brawler. And she is actually pretty freaking good, considering she has the Shura JE for her Holy Brawler. And she mostly runs Beastmaster main with Holy Brawler sub. I generally run the Twin Blade reactive for that 10% chance to just evade all damage. And she runs her Beastmaster JE passive along with her Holy Brawler HP passive, I believe. And she did just recently get a Kaigen. She didn't get that Kaigen recently, or she got that Kaigen recently, so it'll be a while until you get her Kaigen. So just as soon as you can start farming her, just do it. Beastmasters have untyped damage, which means with the Shura, you can punch through and get through a lot of mechanics that you otherwise would have not, like an anti-slash map. She can just roll over it. And finally, we just have the general MP coins. And one of the major differences is sometimes they'll put the flags and statues in here, and you're gonna want to save your MP coins for this. So you don't really want to use your MP coins on gear anymore. You want to save them to get these flags and the bears, the snakes, and the goat statues. You're gonna want MP coins for these. And this will save you a lot of farming, because generally speaking, a good rule of thumb is to think about 10 AP per one flag. And that's being generous on a high drop map. Flags are actually obnoxious to get, and you have to spend a lot of AP to get them, and you have to run relatively hard maps for some of them. Like Saga flags here, these are not easy to get. Unless Lucian J Plus is rerunning. Greed flags, you can only get these with your arena coins. They don't drop from anything, so being able to get them for MP coins is a lifesaver, so you can farm Lotia faster. That other flag there is MB flags, and those are actually easy to get compared to the other ones. And you can see that this is a long mess because they put all of the JE stuff in, and everything else in here is pretty much the same. So I'm not going to go to the Soul Shard area because nothing really changed there. There is a new shop called the Peddler Shop, but it randomly spawns, and I don't have it spawned up right now. So let's quick go to do the special shops. So do we have it? Yes, we do. So this is the Kaigen special shop, and you're not really worried about these things for gems. I think they're bad deals and they're not worth getting. Instead, what you're worried about are these sets right here. When you don't want to farm these with AP, you buy them. And that's 5 million Zenny per element. And if you want the rainbow set, you're looking at 10 million Zenny. And that might seem like a lot, but as you'll be able to see in just a moment, we actually have better ways to farm Zenny in Japan. Your adventurer shop is different than the Japan shop now. It diverged, so I do not expect you to get this shop explicitly. But it's basically the old shop with some minor differences. And these other shops that are in here that you see are mostly ripoffs. It's every once in a while we'll get like a really good shop in there, just like in Global. But those are the only major differences. So let's take a look at our dailies, our daily events. So events are open every day of the week, and they're under this category. And you will notice that we have Gold Rush Pro up every single day of the week. Except on the weekends. On the weekends, Gold Rush is infinite. You get to run Gold Rush as much as you'd like. Other days of the week, it's only 3 per day, but this will help you keep your Zenny up. Another thing we have is we have this gear farm. And it's like the old one, except it's actually worth something. So these are this month's drops, and the drops change each month, and it's all 4-star gear. Every piece of it is 4-star gear. And the statue stages are up on certain days of the week. I believe today is Tuesday in Japan, so it's Bear Day. And we didn't used to have 3 different tiers of difficulty. It was just this middle tier here. But you're going to get acquainted with this map real well because you're going to be farming it a lot, along with the goat and the snake map. But especially the snake map. You will be farming the snake map a lot. I highly suggest to get yourself a Jin, and you'll know why when the time comes. And recently they introduced this new stage here, and these stages change each day of the week, depending on the day, and these are just a bunch of extra drops. Today is the elemental upgrade material drops. The day before was the gold drops, where I got a bunch of gold ingots, probably a little over 100, and that's just because I auto it instead of manualing it because I'm lazy. And yeah, these are the major differences here. So let's hop over to the event and see if there's anything different over here. So these are just some of the events that are up right now. The seasonal events are up, and these are other things that we're running. So here, Nensos, when you get Nensos, you're going to get access to these Vision Clear stages. And what these are is this week is Wrath Week, which means that if I take a party, which I have my Nenso party here, and you'll notice that all of these units have Wrath Nensos on them. Some Zahars, some Mayas, there's Krima. And each time you clear this, you get 1% towards your Vision Clear reward. And you can clear it 3 times a day. And also, there is a chance for you to get this Mech Ratty, is what we call them. They're called Mechanical Visions, but we call them Mech Rats for short, and we sometimes just call them rats. If you're like in the Japan Discord and you hear someone say they're going to rat a Nenso, what they mean is they're going to use the Mechanical Visions on it to get the VCR out. And we currently have one for area, and then there's one that comes out when there's a new Nenso out. And the not the Attack on Titan, but rather the Full Metal Alchemist Nenso is out, which means it has its own stage. And you'll notice through these other rats in here with the apples, and you're going to want to farm this regardless of whether you have Nensos or not, because you really are going to need a lot of these, especially early. They're not as abundant, and you're going to want to be able to level up your Nensos for extra stats. So if you run that, you'll never run out of your ability to do that. And the final major difference we have here is the Advent stages. Now these are very, very difficult stages at very high AP costs. They're one-time clears. Once you clear it, even if it reruns, you cannot clear it again. Or rather, you can clear it again, you just don't get the rewards for doing it. And you get up to 15 shards if you meet all the missions. I don't run these often. I'll probably do Prides this month, just because I went to Kaigen Pride. He's pretty good now. And, so yeah, it's, you want to try to clear this in one shot. It's 24 AP per mishap. If you clear out. If you clear it without getting all the frags out of it, you're going to lose 240 AP and have to do it all over again. So the other thing we have that's different is the Karma Circle. Now, I haven't really run this much myself because the reward for doing it is not super valuable. Little Ouroboros is just not the character she used to be. She's been horribly, horribly power crept by any support, pretty much. I'll probably get in here and do this sometime. But basically, you get to take up to 3 teams in, and when an entire team dies, the next team replaces it, and you get 1 mercenary per group. And you get to choose that mercenary. So that is Karma Circle. Maybe one day I'll learn how to do it and I'll run it and put out a guide, but Kaigen makes Karma Circle a lot easier than it used to be, so it's not like as big of a deal being able to clear it. You still need really high-end units, though. It's not an easy map, and it's long. So let's go over to story. So as you can see, they've separated the Babel Chronicle and the SSM story quests into the story mode. So they're no longer in the event tab. Let's hop over to Babel. So you've probably heard me refer to Babel quests before. And this is the Babel Chronicles. And these are basically quests where you have a preset party, and you basically have to clear that content with that party. So if I go in here, in this particular instance, it's going to make me use Albea and Wilhelm. And I have to use these units. They come with predetermined stats. And it's actually pretty difficult. It's more like solving a puzzle than other maps are. So you can just get a guide online to see how to do it, just by looking up YouTube videos. That's what a lot of us do. But you can also figure it out yourself. So if you're into that kind of challenge, Babel Chronicles is probably going to be a lot of fun for you. The kicker is you want to get all of these quests done, or all of these missions done at once. Because if you clear all missions at once, you get an extra prize. So for instance, I missed this one because I had bad RNG. And I messed up because of it. And if I missed the all clear mission, if I got the all clear mission, 50 gems, 5 desert flags for that particular mission. which is really good. There is an MV region, Wrath, Desert, Wada, Wada 2, Sloth, and Lust, and they go in that order, and a lot of units in those areas will get Kaigened when their Babel comes out. Eventually, Babel units will get their own hard quests, and in order to access these hard quests, you have to clear out the area. And I suggest not putting off Babel quests because there's a lot of events that they do in Japan and freebies they give away for clearing some of this content, and having it pre-cleared will make your life a lot easier. Eventually, they did release Easy Mode, and Easy Mode is pretty much autoable. I autoed the entirety of the Envy Easy Mode for a panel once, and it's just incredibly easy. You really can't screw up. So if you really hate this and you really hate the challenge, there will be a way to bypass it eventually, but that only came out, I think, around the time WADA was coming out. So, I think that's it in terms of that particular type of content. If we go into our unit page here, there really actually isn't much else, to be honest. If you want to build a certain team for an area, you can disable all these. Like, for instance, let's say I want to make a Lustberg team. You can drop it. You can do this in global too, but the thing is you're gonna have a lot more maps that have requirements like use a full Lust team or use a full Sloth team. And this is just a good way to organize your units if you're gonna do that. I highly suggest thinking about what element your units are and where they come from as you decide who you want to Kaigen. For instance, my Fire Lust team is pretty good. I have a Kaigened Emma, a Kaigened Noah, a Kaigened Pamela, and she's a free unit from Emma's Job Plus event. And I tie it up with a Kaigened Lupinus. This is also helpful because there is a stage in Neo Vita, and I'll do a video on Neo Vita when it comes back. It's a limited time event, kind of like Vita is limited in global, Neo Vita is limited in Japan. And you need a full team of Fire staff users. So this happens to work out pretty well for that. You want to think about your teams, what kind of elements you're going to be using, what kind of attack types they have. For instance, if we go over to my dark box here, I have a lot of slash in here. And not much magic. You're gonna want a good mix. Wind doesn't really have much magic, but it does have a lot of slash. Ramses is pierce. You want to make sure you get a good overall archetype, so that way if you run into any maps where, for instance, if you have a slash resist map, my dark team would be pretty screwed, because I don't have many other options. You want to balance the way you Kaigen your units, so that way you can formulate good teams. And this will be very important because of the changes that you'll start seeing to the EX and EX Plus requirements for missions. Other things to note for our dailies, they do not have a clear all missions and then get gems. We get gems per mission like the old system used to, and we generally get more gems, I think, than we used to. Like, normal quests is 30 gems, multi is 10, event is 30, hard is 10, and you also get a free set of AP for an additional 50 gems per day at 3 different intervals during the day, and you have to collect it during that interval. I doubt Global's ever going to do that because they have their ad system that, if you've ever heard me talk about it before, you would know my disdain for. One thing that they do often in Japan is they give us 500,000 Zenny options for these enchant token pick tickets. And if you ever get these, I suggest getting them and stocking up on them, because these will save you a lot of AP later. And the final piece of content I guess I'll go over is guilds, in case you are interested. So the way you level up a guild is you go into here and you can choose gear. We have these raid items that I use instead, and you just put the gear in and you level up your guild that way. As you get more levels in the guild, you'll be able to add more people. You start with 10 people, and I believe you get 1 more each time you level up. And at certain intervals, you'll be able to get more guild sub-leaders in too. Um, there isn't too much guild content right now. We only see guild content around raids, but there's a developer's letter that was put out pretty recently that says they intend to do more with guilds, but it really so far we haven't seen that much outside of the last 2 raids. And unfortunately, raids are not up right now, but I have plenty of videos showing different raids from different areas, including a raid from the first set of raids from the Attack on Titan raids. Although I didn't actually get any videos of any Titans, unfortunately. So maybe if it ever reruns, I'll do that. So that's really all I have for today. I know this was a long video and it had just a lot of haphazard information, but I'm still trying to think about what I'm going to do next, and if there's anything that you want to hear or see about the Japan version, just let me know and I'll see about making a video for it. Hopefully this highlights some of the major differences between global and Japan. A lot of people have been stressing that Kaigen is going to break them because you need 30 million Zeni to completely Kaigen a character. When they don't actually know is that very few characters actually get a full Kaigen. Most of them are only going to use 15 or 20 mil, which is still a lot by global standards, but we have more ways to get Zeni in Japan. Raids are a huge boost to Zeni. I get tons of my Zeni from it. We also have a tendency to get a lot more freebies in Japan, but I mean, hopefully Global comes around with that. I think that Global needs to give out some more freebies, because I do feel like some Global players feel a little underappreciated, because sometimes Japan players will wake up with 3,000 gems in our mailbox, and Global players are lucky if they get a 50 gem compensation for a bug in the game. So, thanks for watching, everyone. If you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see next, any units you'd like to see, go ahead and ask, and I will hopefully see you next time.